welcome to PhillyCAM's Town Square. I'm your host, Gabe Castro, and today I'm going to be talking to a few of our PhillyCAM members about their experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic and quarantine. We're going to talk about their programs, how they are finding creativity in this time, and some silver linings and things to look forward to in the future. So join me as we talk to some of our community members and see the different ways that we are surviving out here.
Hey, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, this is so cool. It said I was backstage. I'm like, oh my God. I'm not backstage. I'm just here.
Yeah, no, this is our virtual studio.
Yeah, this is real nice. I like this.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you, unknown interviewer.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. I thank you for having me. It's so nice.
Here we are. What a handsome guy.
I see you.
Unbelievable.
How are you feeling?
Well, I just had this test about an hour ago, and that was fun, having a thing stuck in your nose. Oh, for those of you that may have to get the test, it's really nothing. It's more like a tick, like you have to sneeze at the end. It's like a tickle thing. And I had this all in my mind that they were going to, shove some wooden stick into my brain. So that was good.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good over here. I think after a while, everybody goes a little stir crazy just being, stuck in the house for so long. But I think overall, we've been blessed to be okay. We make the best of it. We try to, make sure everybody has some kind of activities to do. My son still has school, so we log him onto the computer. One of my other sons is home from college, so we'll shake him and get him up in the morning when I have to work. And take him over, get him to take over for everything. But it's been pretty good so far. I don't have any complaints other than, I miss hugs, I miss going out, and seeing my mom or other people. So I like that interaction. So that's the part that I think I miss the most.
Well, I'm maintaining, trying to stay positive, being honest with my true feelings when I'm not feeling so positive. Just adapting and adjusting, I guess, like everyone else, to the circumstances.
How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm having a lot of fun. I've got a bunch of projects, and my sense of humor is starting to come around again, which is
that's good.
It's helpful, yes.
Hi
Hey.
guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good. It's so good to see you.
Good
to see you too, Gabe. Smiling as always.
Love that smile.
Yeah, gotta keep it up.
That's right.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to talk with me and share your experiences and thoughts.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. I want to start with just checking in on you guys. How are you doing?
We're doing well. I mean, with the circumstances, we're just making the best of it. People are always saying, oh my God, we're stuck at home. And I saw something on social media that said, okay, you're not stuck at home, you're safe at home.
Right.
So if you think about it that way, you can kind of just be able to deal with it a little better. So we don't feel like we're stuck at home. We're safe at home.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a great outlook. There's so many ways to just kind of reevaluate, what we're expecting, because it's nothing like anyone would have imagined, and even the smallest bit of positivity can totally change your experience.
Absolutely.
And allowing yourself, that time to just be give yourself a breath, give yourself some time, that this is all different and we're all going through it together. Now that you have that time to yourself and to kind of reevaluate what is important out there, what are you finding that you're most grateful for in this time?
I can say we've always been extremely grateful for our family and, our close-knit circle, but I'm also grateful that we're able to be here without lost wages. We're able to continue to live without
any other struggle. You know, life is a struggle regardless. You know, everyone has some sort of struggle regardless. But for us to be able to, at this time, still be able to move forward and not have to struggle and just, you know, take time to Zoom with our family, which has been great. You know, we've been staying connected that way because we have kids and grandkids that we cannot physically see and touch, because we are definitely believing in that social distancing and the fact that my husband, you know, has conditions that he should not be around people in the event that they could be carrying the virus. So, you know, we've just been staying in here and continuously talking to friends and family on Zoom and on the phone. And, you know, we're just grateful to be able to do that and share encouraging words to those who maybe don't have that, like people who live alone. I mean, you know, my daughter works in a place where one of my daughters has to continue to go to work, and she works in a senior center, and their families can't come visit them. So, you know, we did a video where I actually read a scripture, you know, on video. Michael was recording it, and we sent it to her so she could share it with the residents there, you know. So just trying to stay connected and have people know that even during this time, especially during this time, we're blessed. And you have to count those blessings, because the numbers, if you watch on television, a lot of people, it's just a rough time. So we're just thankful and grateful that we're still here and our families doing well.
Kind of like, it's physical distancing, right? But I feel like as a society, we are kind of socially connecting more than we have before, where we're reconnecting with people that, you know, maybe we hadn't checked in on, because so easily life just gets in the way and you forget to do that. So we, you know, have that time. So it's physical distancing, but socially I feel like we're coming, you know, closer.
That's a huge part of it.
I think during this time, I'm just really grateful for the earth. You know, I think that some people are mad at you know, everything, but I found this real incredible new respect for the planet that we live on, and how, you know, things come up, but, you know, there's waves and cycles, and it's given me a lot more time to just sort of like sit back and really be outside and enjoy, you know, what an amazing planet that we really do live on.
Yeah, it is nice to see like the world kind of reset a little bit, you know, like we're, you know, seeing pollution levels go down, or seeing certain animals return to spaces, and kind of giving the earth a break from us is kind of nice, you know. And also that, you know, we're all forced to stop and smell the roses, right? Like we're all like stuck here and being grateful and thankful for any time we can go outside just to breathe fresh air. It's like, oh, I forgot that's, you know, special. We should love that.
What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for people who have better outlooks on things than I do. I can get pretty dark in these dark times, so it's cool to be around people who are really positive and optimistic about the future and funny. I'm not funny, so I enjoy being around funny people. So I'm grateful for all the funny friends that I have.
Yes, I'm very grateful for having some knowledge of remote-based activity. You know, I was on Zoom in free conference, and I was in a remote graduate program, so it kind of allowed me to just have a seamless adjustment to you know, the new systems in place for like some of my professional trainings. Everything just kind of went remote, so I was already kind of equipped to do so. I'm grateful for everybody that's near and dear to me, for the most part, is healthy and well. Roof over my head, food in my belly, and a continual workout regimen.
Yes. Yeah,
I actually don't like that. I'm not grateful for the workout.
But grateful that you can do it, right?
Yeah.
That opportunity.
I'm always grateful. Every day you're sucking air is a good day.
As an animator, the thing that I really need is hours of uninterrupted time quietly indoors, where like everything is quiet around me. So this has actually been sadly a really a good time to be an animator.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot that goes into creating those animations, and luckily we're all forced to to take our time with those things. Are there any specific projects that you're working on right now that you're like super excited about?
Well, I'm doing a retelling of the COVID crisis through retelling it through the eyes of a toilet paper roll.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
A different perspective on the whole thing. You know, another thing that I'm really happy about is I'm quarantining with someone who's fantastically creative and has done, community access radio and television before. So, like, so many times during the day, we'll come up with an idea like, oh my God, that would be so funny to like make into blah, blah, blah. So we have an ongoing notebook of funny projects that we'll be working on. So that's been a real blessing of this time as well.
That's a wonderful question. Presently, I do one piece of art daily. It doesn't have to be Rembrandtish. It could be a comic or something that catches my fancy, or just free-flowing art. I'm also taking some master classes, which I really am enjoying. I'm taking Spike Lee's on making movies. And I love movies.
What is like something that you've learned from either of those master classes that really like stuck out to you, that you were like, what? I never thought of it that way.
Yes, let's go to Spike Lee. Spike Lee is old school. He uses the F word, and he makes no apologies. He also writes his scripts in hand, which is very, very interesting to me.
So we do have put together topics for the rest of the year. Now, we were fortunate to be able to have recorded up through June. So we are actually covered through June. However, this coming May, we're going to have to start recording something else so that we'll have coverage for July. And we are still trying to figure out how we're going to do that, from home without, all of the great equipment that PhillyCAM has. So we haven't actually begun doing the content yet. So that's going to be our next challenge, to see how we're going to do that. But we do have topics, at least, that we're planning to try to roll out.
So we're still infants in this and learning about PhillyCAM and how we fit into it. So prior to that, we were working on our Unsigned Soul things. We had just finished a season on YouTube, and we were working on some of the host, his music. So we're trying to continue to help him, because he has a single out. So we're trying to, get some things started, some fundraisers and things that we're working on, the planning for that. We're also working on a social fellowship that we're in, that we have different events that we're trying to plan now. So we're working on those things.
Basically, what I've been doing, I've been honing up on my Adobe skills. Right. So,
True.
There's more time for me, since I'm home, when I wouldn't have the time when I have to go to work, to be down in my mini studio and do the things that I need to do to get it up to speed. So it's been a good time creatively for me, for getting my space together, so that when we get back into the flow of things, I won't have to be worrying about different problems going on and what have you. So so it's been a good time for me with that when it comes to creativity.
Actually, I found it quite useful during this time, because I had a good amount of downtime, so to speak. As a vocal performer and a creative cultural producer, a lot of what I do has been in person, and not being able to do that, making that transition, the programming has shifted a little bit. Our organization began the webinar platforms for some of our educational components. And now we're just like making it more accessible. So since people are home, we've noticed that our numbers have increased significantly since we've made since everyone is home and they're like, oh, we normally are never home to see stuff like this. So now that we're seeing it, I'm noticing more support. Something I'm working on as well is as a artist that's a performing artist. I noticed that a lot of the funding sources are a little limited for gig workers, and at the state and the federal level, I'm hoping to create an opportunity for performing artists, or artists of all disciplines, really, that are gig workers, for us to create a fundraising strategy that will support that population. It's near and dear to me, and I realize that many of my peers are financially vulnerable, and even if the stay-home orders end today or tomorrow, it doesn't imply that many of the venues that we previously worked with will have us back. So trying to just create a new economic shifting of narratives and trying to sustain long term.
And I will say, it's really inspiring to see how innovative and inspirational people are becoming during this time. Like, people are really on it, in looking out for each other as well, in seeing, because we're all in this together. So people are kind of seeing it in a broad way of like, oh, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of creatives and a lot of artists, and they're all going to be affected this way. Here are ways that we can fix that. So I'd say that's one of the highlights for me. Seeing it.
What I've been doing is I'm working on I already pretty much finished the script for the next episode. I've been making a lot of notes for the editor for the one that we shot in January. And I have been practicing with Adobe Premiere, which I've been lax on. But I did take the course, and I did get, I do have the software. When we do get to come back to PhillyCAM, I will be ready to shoot multiple episodes in a short, like two. I can book, let's say the next one will be the Express Studio, but if I go back to the green screen, I can actually do 2 episodes in the time it took me to do the one. So, and that is because I took this great TV production planning class, which I would recommend anybody watching, if they haven't taken it. It's so good because it's helped me to plan. I can shoot 2 things in the same amount of time as one. There's a thing that I couldn't do without taking that class, and so that I've been just getting ready for when the world resumes.
What are you doing during this time to take care of yourself and make sure that you're good?
That's a tough one, Gabe, with the loaded questions. I started doing therapy, but I will say this, I started therapy pre-COVID. So how am I staying sane or taking care of myself during all this? I don't want to say drinking wine, because I feel like that's I know everyone's probably saying that, but I don't want to seem like I'm endorsing alcoholism or so what am I doing? I'm playing a lot of The Sims, which I know seems kind of juvenile, but I don't usually have time to play The Sims like I used to. Like when I was younger, I can bang out 8 hours easy. So now I have all this time to build new worlds and kind of take myself out of the current reality. So playing video games has been a nice escapism for me, and it just allows my mind to kind of declutter, because I think a lot. I'm in my head a lot. So doing something as mindless as playing The Sims is actually really helpful for me.
Yeah, there is a return to these simpler games that aren't super intense and strategy and all of that. It's more just getting to fish, right? Like Animal Crossing, which is it's so much about taking care of yourself in just getting a chance to escape and relax and not have any expectations for what's going on. It's a very easy to waste a day playing The Sims.
Honestly, it took me a minute because I would just kind of sit around for like the first couple of days, at the first maybe week, like I should be here, I should be there, we should be out. I didn't know what to do. But I think as of recently, we did a lot more of reevaluating the things that we eat. And we started to eliminate a lot of processed foods that we had. So, trying to eat more holistically, like more fruits and vegetables, and, eating a lot more baked foods and stuff like that. So we're just trying to eat a lot better. And then actually just yesterday, I started actually getting back out, and I did 15 minutes outside of the walks that we do, 15 minutes of actually working out in the house and building myself up to getting back in shape by, working out and stuff like that. And then I would say the other portion is on the weekends, we would walk, and we start to challenge ourselves. The first time we did like 1 or 2 miles. The second time we did 3 miles. And then the last time we walked for 5 miles. And so I think just getting that cardio in, just getting that exercise and everything has been a big part of, just trying to take care of ourselves and stuff like that, and getting rest.
After, the stay at home is, done, and we're kind of more or less going back to somewhat of a normal reality, what are some things that you hope that like our society and the city and everywhere learns from this experience, so that, some things won't go back to normal, but maybe will be fixed or repaired or seen differently now that we've all experienced this?
That's actually a really good question. And I never, really thought that deep for society as a whole, what we could probably do. I think the main thing is being more conscious about our sanitation habits and cleanliness and everything like that. I think that, having a better idea and a mindset, and being a little bit more caring for each other, making sure that everybody is taken care of. Maybe starting to realize that, one of the things that been on my heart really heavy was some of our homeless people who didn't have access to sanitation methods and sanitizers and things like that, who didn't have a place to go to when the city shut down. And how can we better reach out to those individuals? I saw in one city, they were doing tents and putting tents up for them so that they at least have that to kind of retreat to. So I think that in some capacity, finding a better way of taking care of our homeless community, doing a better job of making sure that we do a more sanitation methods and things like that. In addition to, just, I guess, staying connected to God in some sense. Everybody has a different belief system, but just staying connected and allowing yourself to get that peace that comes with having that relationship.
I'm interested to see conversations about work culture and productivity. I think one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is how much we obsess over like chasing the bag culture and going to work culture, and what that does to the average person or to the average American. Do we need to be at work for 5 days out of the week? Maybe we can be there for 4. And just, I think, learning how to be productive in a more concise manner. Because, that's just something I've been thinking a lot about. Like, how will this redefine the work week? How will this redefine our ideals around being productive and proactive, especially being a millennial where we're coined as like the lazy generation. It's like, well, now everyone's being quote unquote lazy. So what does that say about our ideas of productivity?
Well, as someone who has been sort of like, I guess, I don't know, whatever the word is for it, very passionate about accessibility and accessibility in film and television. A lot of the times through the years, I've heard, oh, we would love for it to be accessible, but it's too expensive, or we don't have the technology, or we don't know how to do that. And I think that because of this crisis, everyone has been sort of like yanked into accessibility, and knowing that what the labor of the disability community and the disability community has been telling us for years is that we want to be included. The technology to include us is available. So I'm very much hoping that film festivals will like think about captioning, think about how easy it is to do live type, to think about how easy it is to have digitally accessible festivals, and just to use this time where we had to figure out different ways and technologies to include everyone, that spirit of inclusivity and making sure that everyone can participate. I hope that continues. I think we're learning in Zoom, like to have that chat window. If someone doesn't have a lot of data, then maybe they were just reading the chat window. And I think that people are starting to see, we have voice-to-text technologies that are just usually a click away. We can have live transcriptions happening, and again, like with subtitling and captioning. So the disability community has really pushed for these technologies to be available, and I hope that work will continue on now that we, it's exciting. Like people are seeing that, you can do that. So it's neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, at PhillyCAM, we're working on some things. Jeff, who's behind the scenes, just put out a blog for making captioning accessible and how to do it. Yeah, so definitely make sure to check out, PhillyCAM's blog, because we're sharing those resources.
And in fact, it's really the very core of PhillyCAM is, in my view, inclusion. Everybody's equal, everybody's included. And it's probably the most respectful environment I've ever been in. And guess what? Everybody's equal with the virus. I mean, it's affecting everybody all over the world. It's showing us, I think. I mean, my dad's 95 years old. He said he's been through wars and the polio epidemic, and he says he's never seen anything like this. This is a real wake-up call, I believe, to how we treat each other. I can't imagine anything bigger and more powerful that affects more people. And I think, so in answer to your question, I think this is a real, I don't think we'll ever go back to life as it was, knowing this must be what it's like when people go through a war. They come home and people say, "Oh, it's glad you're home." Like, and what they saw and what they had to go through, they could never explain. And so I think that we are forever changed. And I hope, and I believe actually, for the better. I really think this will make us more compassionate.
Agree completely that it's fair game. Everyone is affected, and we're seeing how widespread and how much we all have in common, actually, that, before, we all lived in our own little bubbles.
Right.
And now we're the society that can kind of see each other for what it is and, take the time to reevaluate what's important to us and who's important to us as well.
Well, I think that it's funny that now places are being more cleanly, as far as wiping things down in the stores and making sure things are done differently. And I feel like those things should have been happening anyway, but even with that, people are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, you see it right now, where even though all of these different states are saying stay at home, you have those people who really aren't essential, but just refuse to stay at home, which really goes to show that a lot of people really just don't like being told what to do. They look at this as a punishment when really it isn't. So I hope that, people will be more tolerant and pay attention to, hey, you might feel like you're okay, but you don't know whether you are. And what about my mother and father? What about my grandparents? What about all these elderly people? You don't know what you could be bringing to them, regardless that you feel fine. You just don't know. So I just I hope that people will learn to, okay, just listen. People are dying from it, so you need to take it seriously. I don't think that we should move back into coming together until we know. So we have to listen to, I guess, the scientists that are trying to create, this remedy, I'll say.
Well, I know working in the school district, I know that they are really going to make a lot of changes. So I think they've learned that there has to be better custodial work than what they've had before. So I think that's a big thing that's going to happen with the schools. It's going to be cleaning and that type of stuff, and knowing that this thing still is out there. It's just not going to go away. We're going to make it go down, but it's not going to go away. So hopefully we'll do the things that we need to do to keep us safe.
I have a friend answer that.
Absolutely.
Voila. Welcome, Mr. Andy Rooney.
I've always loved how Americans can come together when a need arises. The United States becomes the United America. Not all for me and none for you, but all for one and one for all. To love one another and love Mother Earth. Here are some departing thoughts. Don't worry or be concerned with things beyond your control. Learn to say no. Don't try to be all things for all people. Don't be quick to judge. Instead, show compassion. Discover the freedom of forgiveness. Cease trying to be perfect. Your expectations are unrealistic. Get away from thinking that every minute must count and be productive. Set time aside for yourself. Learn to relax. Free yourself from constant scheduling. Have time for fun and silliness to reset your attitude.
I hope things never go back to quote unquote normal, because it's clear that normal did not work. I hope society will include and have more financial and career respect for the arts and culture community and the arts and culture sector, so that we are not completely excluded and overlooked in many elements of emergency support systems. And I know that's going to sound kind of like, it's not necessarily a positive thing, but to me, it's a positive thing. I'm hoping that all of the gig workers reframe how we are operating in our respective disciplines, and we'll look at it from a more entrepreneur lens so that we're more productive, we're able to maximize on our earning potential and invest our revenue in a way that both contributes to our personal and professional sustainability, but the larger environment sustainability. Like, not only are we just contributing, because that's something that the arts and culture community is hell-bent on, like creating culture and providing their personal stories and from an artistic perspective, but also just treating themselves better, doing better by themselves professionally, like developing that entrepreneurial acumen.
Just one other thing that I've kind of talked about is abolition. And, you know, prison abolition has been something, and abolition generally has been something that a lot of people are like, I just don't get it, you know, like bad people are in jail. But I think that this time is also kind of like, sort of like reintroducing or introducing on a broader scale what abolition could be, like who is the state locking up and for what? And is the state locking up people the best way to care for people and or to care for society? So one thing that I or there's many things, but the idea of abolition, especially around Philadelphia, where, you know, where the jails and prisons are already sort of in the mindset of people who are talking. I hope that this time helps more people sort of like rethink what carceral society looks like, and hopefully helps them, you know, maybe want to join in with an abolitionist way of thinking.
Yeah, I think this has shown us that a lot of the institutions that we have just kind of accepted as normal don't work, or were never meant to work as long as they are. And so I think, you know, people being stuck at home and being forced to educate themselves and to be informed can see that. And so there is a hope that, you know, that with that and many other institutions that we have going on can be reevaluated and inspire us to make a better future than we thought was possible, which is, you know, there's a silver lining for all this is.
Okay, so the show that I have is called The Queen's Lair. The Queen's Lair is a Christian talk show and is focused on women. And what we do is we talk about topics that are relevant to women, but in adding biblical perspective, but in a down-to-earth format. So kind of like we're all girlfriends and we're kind of talking about our own experiences and the things that we've gone through and what got us through and how we can relate that to our viewers and our audience. And it comes on every Friday at 10 a.m. every Friday at 10 a.m. and it comes on Verizon channel 29 and 30, Comcast channels 66, 966, and 967. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Unsigned Soul is for independent artists, people who are struggling to make it. They're not signed by any label, and they've been out here trying to just be seen, be heard. So it provides a platform for them to be exactly that. They come on, they perform a couple of songs of their original music, and then they also get interviewed by our host, which is El Barak, who is the visionary of Unsigned Soul. So if you go on YouTube and you go to look up Unsigned Soul, you'll see this picture of this guy with a big smile, and so
big smile.
Yes, they'll be able to say, okay, it must be this dude, So we were doing it at a studio in Delaware, but we are looking to, of course, bring that to PhillyCAM when we start preparing for the next season. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to that.
My show is called Over My Dead Body. It was just like perfect for now. I probably should change the title after this whole pandemic. But what it is a comedy series where we go to the cemeteries of famous or influential people in our history, and we plug a mic into the headstone and we interview them. And we don't talk about death or heaven or hell or ghosts, or we don't even mention they're dead. They just haven't been around for a while. So we asked them, for instance, we interviewed Steve Jobs, and he told us how he formed Apple, and we did Mae West, we did Robert Kardashian, we did Nostradamus. He'd come in handy to do a catch-up with. And so we air it on PhillyCAM. The 4 episodes aired already. And then after PhillyCAM, then it goes on to Amazon Prime. So that's where it is now.
Well, it's on Sunday at 10:30, and it's just a half hour for me to put. So what documentary started at was a project for me to make records back in the years of AIDS, when people were dying without, and sort of history, and the parents were the people that were setting the history of a person. So I kind of wanted to make sure that people got to say their stories in their own voices at that time with pictures, because video wasn't available. Oldie makes the oldest. So, but now, now that's part of the, that's part of the thing. That's what people do. But my half hour is still trying to show actions that maybe I videotaped, or show short films from a queer, trans, people of color communities. It's just little segments, hopefully of people that stories and funny stories, and also just documents of what's happening now with people that may not have might not be able to be as easily found.
Oh gosh, so usually I have an email from Debbie so I can say these things. So I submitted my most recent episode, Artist Talks, which will premiere in May. And with that segment, I talk to underground artists from Philly, i.e. rappers, producers, filmmakers, directors, et cetera, et cetera. They come in and we just chat about their latest project, their creative path, what got them to be a rapper, who influences their sound, who influences their technique, things like that. So if you wanna check out my newest episode, I have Tawobi from the HBC Highest Basement Collective. He's a Philadelphia rapper. He and his collective do a lot of shows at Kung Fu Necktie. So tune in and check it out. He's a pretty dope guy.
So I work with the Women's Coalition for Empowerment. That website is thewce.org. I am Shakina B, and my website for me as the creative cultural producer of the Women's Coalition for Empowerment and the executive director. I'm a vocal performer. I actually assist with performing vocal artists to obtain paid contracts where they're getting emerging and mid-career level artists, assisting them with opportunities to showcase their talents, be paid for their services, for their musical services, and also have a wider audience to exhibit their talents with to promote job opportunities. And we're also teaching them how to better use their talents and make it into a profitable enterprise. We are teaching artists of all disciplines, from any discipline in the artistic community. Really is for any emerging entrepreneur that's interested in starting a business legally. For free, we are offering a course, Forming a Business. Then you can sign up on our e-newsletter on any of the websites listed, and you'll be informed of when the next webinar will be. That's educational for art economic empowerment. So I really believe in that. I'm very passionate about it. I'm so appreciative of PhillyCAM for putting this together. I look forward to continuing our relationship as a member to PhillyCAM. I love what you guys are doing for the community. I appreciate the shift to the digital and virtual accessible programming. I think it's a game changer, and it allows for significant accessibility to those that may not have the ability to come out for any reason. So I'm very grateful for all of that. I say, do what right now is healthy, and hopefully that will sustain you, and hopefully we all get through this as stronger, more informed, healthier, and prepared people.
I think it's another thing that's amazing is like all these network shows, people are doing them from their home, just like we're doing this show now. And I think that this might be the future of television, because they have to be thinking, why am I renting the studio in New York City when I can just put a backdrop, or, this has greatly advanced the way television is going to be done, or will be done a lot more in the future. People are just doing it, from their home office.
We found the cure for pandemic. It's Irish whiskey. He's melting, just like that movie, Father. Blow up Joseph. You did a fine job. It was an amazing experience. I can't believe it.
The only thing that I would want to say is just hang in there.
Yes.
Hang in there. Stay positive. I believe that this too shall pass. I believe in that, but you just have to be smart. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands.
I hate washing my hands, but I wash them all the time.
I know it. Like, you hate washing them over and over and over. It's like you constantly do. You hate washing your hands? That's
well, no,
crazy.
I mean, as many times I have washed them. I've learned to hate washing.
Well, because you're constantly washing your hands.
Yeah.
So please continue to do that. Think about everyone out here. By your doing that, you're helping us as a society. So let's just continue to do that. But stay positive. Find something fun to do with your families. Connect with someone that you haven't. If you don't know anybody that you feel you need to connect to, call one of the senior centers. See if you can say something happy for them. Sing a song. Do you play? Do something on social media and then put it out there. So just stay positive. Stay positive. That's all I would want to say to everyone. Believe that this will pass.
Yeah, I guess it would be just to kind of consider family. I would say whether it's your PhillyCAM family, whether it's your family as it comes to your natural family, making sure that you show everybody love, because you just never know when something like this, a crisis at this magnitude, is going to come about and could potentially cause great devastation, and you can't go back and get those moments. So I would say to just make sure that you tell everybody everybody that you love them. Make sure you get those hugs in. Call people and let them know that you appreciate them. Talk to our PhillyCAM community, and let's see how we can come together to try to make it a little easier to go through these type of situations by having something more positive to watch or to look when it comes to entertainment, now that everybody is in a situation where they're on lockdown. So that's what I would say, is just making sure that we look out for one another. Let there be more love for one another, and treating each other with the respect and kindness that everybody is due. So that's pretty much, I think, is the most thing, is just showing love and appreciation to everybody.
Lasting thoughts. I'm gonna be corny, but like, be kind to yourself. Like, I saw that on someone's IG, and I was like, that's really nice. So just be kind to yourself during this time, and don't feel like you have to be productive. If you don't want to be productive right now, you don't have to be. That's fine. And we're gonna get through this, hopefully. Don't spend that stimulus check all in one place. Don't even touch it, honestly.
Thank you both so much for joining me and for sharing your thoughts.
Big fans.
Yes, and I'm big fans of you guys, and I can't wait for you to get in the studio.
Thank you.
Here. Thank you both so much, and stay healthy and stay, safe indoors.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you in person.
Same here. Take care.
Thank you so much, Mr. Unknown Interviewer, for that very entertaining skit, for putting on a show and reminding us that it's okay to laugh and have fun during this time. Thank you so much for joining us and for bringing all your friends. We'll be seeing you.
Mother Earth, do you think we're going to have enough whiskey to save the world? I don't think so, Joe.
Bye. Bye, Joe. And I hope you have fun with your family. Let them know I said hi.
Yes, I will.
Appreciate you coming by.
Yes, and hopefully sooner than later, but not too soon, because I want everything to be cleared up.
Yes.
Hopefully sooner than later, we'll get to come in and get a chance to hang out with you guys at the station.
Yes. I can't wait for those hugs.
Yes.
And yay community media, and yay PhillyCAM. It's really exciting to be part of a voice that people can see, and that people can, like someone like me who didn't go to film school, who doesn't have like a communications, background like that. But for me to be able to like participate in community and like have a show and like say what I think to many, many people. And so I'm really glad that PhillyCAM exists. So thank you very much.
Yes, and we love having you as a member and really appreciate your program. And I can't wait to see you in person and to see you in the Media Lab working hard, putting it together. But stay safe out there, and I'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks.
And I've been thinking a lot about PhillyCAM, like, how much I miss going. I really look forward to going in there and seeing the people. And that's kind of like every time it's almost like it's the first time, because you never know who's going to be there. So I'll look in the Express Studio or in the Media Lab, and, it's always fun to see. When I see a lot of food there, I know that they have a shoot, and, to see who's in the control room. And I've been a member now for 2 years, and taken a bunch of classes, and it's really been an unexpected, wonderful surprise to be involved, in an organization with you guys at this stage of my life too. So I would have to say, taking the train into PhillyCAM is, I don't think it's a stretch to say it's the number one thing I miss. I lived on the beach for 13 years. I don't care about that. But and I'm really enjoying, now that I know what I'm doing, or at least a little more, making my own show.
And I can speak for all of the PhillyCAM staff and say that we also greatly miss, our community and being able to go in and see you guys, which is why we love the opportunities to do the water coolers and things like this, and to call you all, because you're so much, you guys are so important to what PhillyCAM is, and you guys being able to create content that's super important is, what we strive for.